Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Once again, this is Matt Quick coming live from HireMilitary's LinkedIn and Facebook channels and YouTube. So today we're joined by Garret Harrell. He's a Marine Raider getting ready to transition to the real world. He's just tired of the military world for some reason, so we all got to leave sometime. So he'll transition shortly, and he's come on today to hopefully share his story, give some tips, and really talk about his life in the military, his transition story, and what he wants to do next. So if there's employers watching, if there's transitioning folks watching, he may be a good information for you. So, Garret, with no further ado, what is a Marine Raider? And talk about your Marine Corps career.
First off, thanks, Matt. I appreciate you taking the time out today.
Absolutely.
I apologize. I can see my little bubble over there that's kind of fuzzy. So I hope that my voice is at least coming through.
The voice coming through good, but since you're special operations, you want to be a little blurry. You don't want them to see you. But your pictures down there for us, and they can connect with you on LinkedIn, so you're fine.
Absolutely, yeah. So a Marine Raider, what is a Marine Raider? So Marine Corps Forces Special Operations Command is the Marine component to U.S. SOCOM, and Marine Raiders are the operators within the component. So it's, you're from a Marine perspective, the best way I guess we could describe it is it's the Marine version of a mix between Army Special Forces, Army Rangers, and then Navy SEALs. So we all kind of do some of the same missions. It depends on what our mandates are as to what our primary and secondary functions are and the core activities that we go after. But again, Marine Raiders are the Marine component to Special Operations Command. So I've been doing this for going on 15 years, and I started out in the infantry back in 2003.
Okay. So yeah, the Marine Corps infantry is tough. I was a Marine, but I wasn't infantry. But we're all riflemen, so I have that anyway.
Yeah, true. That's a true story.
Hey, so how was your career to this stage, and I guess talk about your transition, how it is for you as a special operator in their world and what opportunities they have.
So I've been extremely fortunate in my career. So one of the things, for starters, I came into the Marine Corps at a fairly late age. I was 28 years old when I enlisted for the second time with a college degree. And I came into the Marine Corps, and being older and having a college degree, I was automatically seen at that point as being somebody that could be counted on. I don't want to use the word leader by any means because I was still learning what it was to be a Marine even back in the early days and a few years in. But I was somebody that they were like, well, we can definitely count on this guy. So I had a lot of opportunity. I progressed fairly rapidly. I mean, I was promoted within 3 years. I was already a sergeant based on some things. So I got to see a lot of responsibility fast, and I got to do some fun things. I got to do missions that some Marines, never got a chance to do, such as, standing on the fence line in Guantanamo Bay. And I was also in Fallujah back in 05 and 06.
Okay.
Had no clue. I was about to get out of the Marine Corps. I was coming back. I was actually deployed to Fallujah at the time. I was coming back with about 3 months to transition and had no clue what was going on. So I reached out to some people, and I was put in contact with some recruiters that were basically building a command. At the time, I really wasn't tracking what it was.
Okay.
So I got orders. I went over to a command that would eventually be swept under the umbrella of what became Marine Corps Forces Special Operations Command. So I started doing that back in 06, and I've been doing that pretty much ever since.
So you're trying to tell us that you're like the original Marine Raider MARSOC guy, right?
So I was there when we came on board. Yeah, I was there. There are a lot of different units that got swept under at the same time.
Okay.
So there's a lot of guys. In fact, there's a lot of guys still in the command today that were there from the first days that are actually leading the command into the the next decade. So so I was there early and had some great opportunities. I was able to deploy to a lot of different places. I saw combat, but I also got to do other things visit. I think I deployed 7 times in all with MARSOC. So I got to see lots of Africa. I got to see, some of the Southeast Asia area, and yeah, so it's been a good time. I've had a lot of fun, and I'm telling you, the Marine Raiders and the enablers and the combat support and service support individuals within the command are some of the most talented individuals that you'll ever come across.
So I was glad to have you on because first of all, you're Marine, but you're Marine Raider, and now you're one of the first Marine Raiders. So your voice will carry throughout, hopefully, to the next generation of special operators in the Marine Corps, and just really focus them. Hey, this is an opportunity. It's not all glorious, but it could be fun and challenging and rewarding. So speak to us. How was the transition time? So when did you decide to transition, and how has it been so far?
So I decided to transition, I think, really back in 2018. I had gotten selected to Master Sergeant, and in all honesty, I was hoping that I was going to be able to continue doing what I was doing at the time, which I was the team leader of a small team, and we were deploying in basically 2-man teams to different parts of Africa, doing different mission sets, but there's nothing like being the master of your destiny, building your own operational tempo, controlling your rhythm, and basically being able to call headquarters and, not a lot of obstacles. So I was really enjoying it. And the guys that I was working with were fantastic. Just a great group of guys. So I was hoping that I could continue that. I got selected for promotion, and I knew that was going away. So I decided to give back to the organization and go do a staff job for my last 2 years. So I actually got promoted on October 1st of 2018, and I executed orders to my staff job within the regiment on the same day. And I kind of knew at that point that this was going to be my twilight, and I had 2 years to figure this thing out. So,
okay.
You never say never, but I was probably at an 85% solution with that. This was definitely going to be my twilight. So in January of the next year, so January of 2019, I actually attended our, it's called the retirement seminar. So the mandated seminar that we have to attend in order to basically start our capstone for transition.
Did that help you out a lot or not?
So I will tell you, it's a different kind of beast, right? Like it's a lot. You're trying to cram, 20 pounds of stuff in a 2-pound bag, right? Within a 5-day period. And you're relying on a lot of external factors, other people coming in, to brief their portions of it. It was informative. And the two women that run it are phenomenal. They did a fantastic job, and they've been extremely user-friendly after the fact, considering that they're extremely busy. Didn't realize how many readiness and transition readiness seminars actually went on a monthly basis throughout the year. Yeah. So but I'll be honest. If I learned one thing from the 5 days there, I learned that I had no idea.
You are not alone.
Yeah, I had no idea where to go. So lots to do, lots to think about. Just so happened that about the same time that was going on, a transition fellowship called the Honor Foundation had started a cohort in the Lejeune area dedicated to the Marines within MARSOC.
Okay.
And just so happened that a friend and neighbor was the program director for the local campus here, which coincidentally is down the street from my house. And so I kind of used my insider influence to.
We don't say that. We say networking. This is all about networking.
True. I networked, and luckily, at the last minute, I was granted a seat. So that was August of 2019. And
if you're watching this now, did you hear what Garret said? It's about networking. Go ahead.
Yeah, it is about networking, and yes, I swear by it. So yeah. So it was really with the Honor Foundation that I was like, oh man. So I mean, I was prior service, right? So the end of the 90s, like early mid 90s to late 90s, I was in the United States Navy. I got out and went to college. I had a pretty decent job where I was in the private sector. I was doing well for myself. How I got that job, and then understanding that in 2019, what applying and recruiting and looking for opportunities, it's night and day, with the exception of one thing, and that's honestly, it's networking, right?
So I'm going to cut you off right there. So you said that you were in the Navy first. You went to college, got your bachelor's degree, right?
Yep.
Then you come in the Marine Corps as you enlist in the Marine Corps.
I enlisted in the Marine Corps.
Huh. That is some dedication and commitment. With a degree, you don't see very much Navy guys, Air Force, or Army come to the Marine Corps. Normally, like me, I went to the Marine Corps first, got a good foundation because I needed it, and then joined the Army. The other way around, kudos to you.
Well, and I've probably devalidated a lot of things of what I just said. No, so yeah, I did look into going the officer route. I really did. And this was 2002, so it was almost a year after 9/11. And as you would expect, the lines to get into, or to at least be a Marine officer, were a mile and then some. So I was ready to get in. I didn't really want to have to wait, so I went ahead and went the enlisted route. I did have an opportunity to potentially put a package in to go to get a commission early on. I decided to forgo that after I had worked to build the application and get it submitted. And I'm glad I did. In all honesty, had I gone that route, there's no way I'd have been able to do the things that I've done today, and with who I've done them and where I've done them. So, things work out. Everything happens for a reason. But I'm satisfied that I definitely did the right thing by enlisting and forgoing that commission very, very early.
Good deal. So the Honor Foundation, would you recommend that to anybody or operators or what?
So the Honor Foundation. So I live by this program. Hopefully somebody from the Honor Foundation is watching, because I mean, it's a fantastic. I'm telling you, I didn't know where I was to head and what I was to do until I went through this program. So the Honor Foundation is a program that's really designed for members of the special operations community. It really started with a focus on the naval special warfare community, with a campus in San Diego. Then they built one in Virginia Beach. Ultimately, in either late 2018 or early 2019, we opened a campus at Lejeune to focus on the MARSOC crowd. But I want to say the Honor Foundation was established back in 2015, I believe. Now there's a virtual campus, which it's actually the director of programs is a former Marine Raider himself. They're looking at building a campus in the Bragg area moving forward to support Army Special Operations there. So it's not just for operators, it's for people within the community. And I mean, it's 13 weeks. People refer to it as an executive level transition fellowship.
Okay.
It's demanding, it's uncomfortable, it's challenging. There's going to be aha moments throughout the process. And you're basically, if I could describe it, it helps you begin to establish your personal brand. And that's something that is much different today than when I remember graduating from college back in 1999 and getting a job. The networking was still there, but you really didn't, having a personal brand, so to speak, wasn't really a thing.
And your brand is really who you are inside, but branding is where it becomes, you have to show others who you are. So who Garret is. So you're saying the Commit Foundation helped that out?
So the Honor Foundation did.
Honor Foundation, got it.
So the Honor Foundation did. Absolutely. Helped me sort of establish that personal brand that I could take to the next step. And, you kind of culminate, the Honor Foundation with an extended networking trek to an area. So, when my cohort, we were lucky and we went to Atlanta being a hub within the Southeast United States. Lots of companies have their headquarters there. So we got to go to some interesting places, see a lot of different company cultures. sit in on panels for hiring authorities. Just a great way to culminate sort of how you build yourself, because all of that up to that point it's understanding what your values are, what your strengths are. So we do values, we do Clifton strengths. Then we start the networking portion. We have resume assistance, LinkedIn assistance. We do more networking. Then there's the Discover Why, the Simon Sinek Discover Why program as well. And all of that just starts, mixing together to sort of help you determine what, help you be able to articulate that personal brand of yours.
So if you're in a military special operations community, you'd recommend the Honor Foundation for everybody, right?
Yeah, I would recommend the Honor Foundation. Absolutely. So there are other things that exist out there too. There's other networking communities that exist, but those networking communities require having that personal brand already established, right? The Honor Foundation is something that does that. I will also tell you, so I am a fellow within the Commit Foundation, a relatively new fellow as well.
Okay.
And that is validating a lot of the things that I learned through the Honor Foundation. For Honor Foundation, I'm also getting some more things that I didn't necessarily get, but it's also allowing me to go back and review some of the things that I did, such as determining my values, sort of understanding my purpose, and it's a great program. And that is not special operations specific. I think a lot of special operations personnel go to it because it's a program that they've learned about, but it's not. And I highly recommend everybody checking out the Commit Foundation as well. You do get personalized executive coaching if you're brought in, and it's another way to help review the things that I've done from a personal branding stance to refine those things and actually push me across the threshold for the next goal line.
Okay, so the Honor Foundation, the Commit Foundation, Garret recommends those because he's been through it and he's going through it now. So, Garret, tell us about some of the challenges you may have faced during your transition and how you overcame those challenges.
Well, so whether I'm overcoming them, I guess is a good.
You're
question.
4 months away, so there's gonna be some challenge, right?
Yeah. So I feel like I'm doing transition right, but I know I'm not doing it 100% right. Right. Because I've got the books, right? I've got the 2-hour job search. I've got networking in 20 minutes. I've got these books and I'm doing all this stuff. I think my biggest obstacle, I think one of the largest challenges I have from a transition standpoint is, and I go back and I thank the Honor Foundation for this, and that's sarcasm, if no one can tell. But it's good sarcasm. I always knew that I would have opportunities, right? Like, I had a degree, so I answered the check in the box for job descriptions for that. Had definitely got experience, and I've got some really great experience that I've achieved in my Marine Corps career. I've got a master's degree. I've got some other stuff. I always knew that I would have opportunities. I didn't know that I would have unlimited opportunities. And what I mean by that is it's really created a vacuum of kind of like where I want to go. I saw Steven yesterday, and when you asked him, what does he want to do after, I think he said he retired July 31st, and he said he has no idea. Listen, I am with you, Steven. I'm with you 100%, buddy. I know what happens on September 30th. I have no clue other than picking up a different ID card what happens on October 1st. But I'm not scared about that, right? What it's done is it showed that, it's made me consider things that I probably would have never considered before, industries that I may have never considered before. If I was to see something that was something, and I'm going to, use this vast spectrum, artificial intelligence and machine learning to human resources, right? Those are things that I may have never considered before, but understanding what I bring to the table now, like those are definitely options for me. There's options within those different types of industries that you can sort of research and figure out as, based on what your purpose is and where you want to move forward. I wouldn't limit myself, but that's my biggest challenge right now is really trying to figure out Plus, I have constraints that I've placed on myself as well, such as location. I want to stay in the location that I'm in, which is really the Wilmington area. I want to stay in this location, and that I know that limits me to opportunities. But we'll see.
Well, you're close by the Marine Corps base, Lejeune, so you're close to a bunch of areas, and there's foundations. These different programs. You can work remotely. There's plenty of opportunities, but you're doing the right thing by branding yourself. And for those who joined us late, Garret is not. See, he's a special operator in the Marine Corps. He's trying to hide his image right now. So for those that want to see his face, go to his LinkedIn profile and check him out, and we'll get that fixed. Hey, technical difficulties, hey, it's live. Sometimes you have to figure things out, right?
Yeah.
Hey, so when it comes to transition, since you're retiring, are you taking the SBP if you're married? Are you looking at life insurance? What are you doing for your future to, I guess, secure your family?
So, okay, yeah. So no on the SBP. So I did, I did the research too. And in fact, I wish I'd have done it much earlier in life. So if there are people out there that aren't even sure if they want to transition at this point, regardless if it's now or later, one thing I did do is I did secure a financial advisor. I got someone that could help me look at things a little differently. And that really extended from a discussion based on life insurance, right? So I did go the temporary life insurance route, at least initially, and I went with it with a certain organization so I could get in on the ground floor and be able to to move a policy around in the future without jumping through more hoops, medical exams and things like that, right? So I went ahead and I did my medical exam, got a temporary life insurance policy, a flex term.
They came to your house, right?
Yeah, they came to my house.
How simple it is.
Yeah, and got a flex term, which has got an excellent rate for the next 10 years. But the plan is to start moving some of that into whole term, so I could start building more wealth as I move along. That's what that guy gets paid for, and he's awesome. So yeah, definitely did that. One of the other things, and as something I'll mention too, is I'm in the process of doing it, right? So I mentioned options earlier. So I would say that you definitely want to create yourself options. And if the things exist and you can tap into them and it's at no cost, take advantage of it. Mm-hmm. So for example, I did sign up for the Onward to Opportunity cohort. So the one that started, one that just started a couple of weeks ago. For Lejeune, I'm in it. I'm doing the PMP. Who's
there now? Mike Murray, Shane Murray's there right now?
Yep, Shane's there and Becky's still there.
Becky, yep. Great people that run the Onward Opportunity is a great program. And I think there are like 17 or 18 locations across the nation right now. Yeah. If they're not across the nation, you can do it remote as well. So
yes,
go ahead.
We have people in remote, and I would say there's a smorgasbord of certifications that you can get, right? And that's the difference is we take for granted some of the credentialing that we think that we have in the military. Mm-hmm. And let's be honest, some of that stuff just does not transfer over.
True.
You're given an opportunity with Onward to Opportunity to be able to get a industry certified certification, right? Some of it's global, like if you look at PMP or Agile or things, those things are global. It's free. I would say take advantage of it. So that just gives you options moving. Whether or not I want to do project management once I leave the Marine Corps is neither here nor there. Yeah. It's something I'm learning about, something that I think we do already in the military, but we haven't looked at it from that type of process improvement standard before. So it's it's learning, and it's learning about some industry related stuff, and it's free, and take advantage of it.
And for me personally, I went through the SPHR course. I went through the training. I did not test out. I got involved in work, so I bypassed the test. It happens a little bit. So I would recommend when you're ready to do it, do the 3-month training process. Get ready for the test. Test out immediately. Yes. Schedule a test and do it immediately. I think a lot of tests are now online. So Pearson may give an online test, which they watch you, so you can't cheat. Right. Don't cheat either. Just test out. but they have all those opportunities for you. So don't be like me and a lot of others. We took the training, didn't test out, but one day, Kenneth Mays, I will test out and give my SPHR. So don't worry about that. You can count your numbers too.
Yeah, so that's another great thing. And then so to set my family up for success as well is definitely trying to take advantage of the benefits delivery at discharge through the VA claims process, right? So making sure that you're doing the things that you need to do between that 180 to 90 day mark, so you can get your claim submitted to the VA. And once that retirement date hits, very closely after that, being able to not just pull pension, but also pull that disability as well.
Now you mentioned the BDD. Did you go through a VSO or Veteran Service Organization at all?
Yeah, and I'm actually in that process right now. So good. I did basically what everybody has to do, and that's get a digital copy of all your medical records. That's everything. So it's dental, medical, mental health, if you've done evaluations as well. And then getting that, I went with a trusted agent that everybody knows on Camp Lejeune. She's with the Veterans of Foreign Wars.
VFW, good.
Yeah, VFW rep, Cindy Noel, everybody knows her. I'm working actually through that process right now. It's not ideal because we're also doing a lot of it through email, no phone calls yet. But she's awesome. I've heard wonderful things about her so far. She's taken care of me, so I can't complain. But it's all about dates, and it's all about timing, I guess, is a really good thing. So the timing is
this is not a great time to transition with all those things, but you're a Marine Raider. You'll figure it out. You'll get beyond that, all right?
Yep, I'll try anyways, right? So that's the other thing that I did, and I'm actually going through that process now, and I'm still learning. There's a lot that I don't know. I would ask people out there. I would ask you. I think one of the questions I had was, for someone like me, someone that's taken advantage of transition fellowship programs, someone that has gotten the education, someone that's taken taking advantage of the onward opportunity stuff. I have multiple informational interviews on a weekly basis. I'm talking to people. I would guess, is there, what's a next step for a guy like me? I don't know.
Not rhetorical. Come on here. No, seriously. Yeah. Well, so you're doing the right things. You're doing all things. So you're 4 months out. So it's still early to get a job, but you're 4 months out. You're doing education. You have your VA claim disability. You have your life insurance. You have it all done. You're doing networking. Your networking is 2,000 strong right now. It's pretty good. Now you got to figure out what it is you want to do. You know where you want to live, Wilmington, North Carolina, which is a great place. Now you got to figure out what do you want to do, and that really comes down to a lot of different things. You can ask your network, hey, if you know any opportunities, you can reach out to people like the Honor Foundation. Do they have a program manager where you're at? Do they have one in Fort Bragg? There's so many things because we're only 2 hours away. I'm around Fort Bragg too. So 2 hours away from you can travel here and do that. But there's remote opportunities too. But when it comes to what jobs you see online on LinkedIn Jobs, which is a great platform, or you go to Indeed, jobs all over the place. That's not all the jobs. If you bring your value to an organization, and don't start with the recruiter or HR person, bring it to a vice president or CEO. This is the value you bring to the organization, and they can actually create positions for you. Not every company does it, but some can. They can create positions for you to, let's say, if you're experienced in the veteran space, you can be hired on to create a veterans hiring initiative. You can do consulting work. There's big companies that do consulting work. I'm not an expert, but many people are. Ernst & Young, Deloitte. These places have opportunities for you. And there's things you really haven't thought about yet. There's high-tech sales. There's solutions consultancies. There's so many opportunities out there. And I know there's a big challenge with veterans leaving their first job within a year or two. Some of that is because they're learning what they want to do. So there's there's an eye-opening experiences all throughout your transition period. So I know it's a lot of information. It's not going to help you right now, but you're going to figure out what you want to do, and you have not just 4 months left. You have a long time left.
Yeah.
You're not bypassing everything else to find a job. You're doing all little things to get a job. So keep doing that. I'd recommend everybody follow you on LinkedIn to see what you're doing, because the Commit Foundation, the Honor Foundation, you're doing all these things, and your brand is already there. You know, sure, you have a lot of Marine Corps stuff on there. I get all that because we're proud. Marines are proud. But there's more on the outside that's waiting for you. We just got to find it. But you're doing a lot of the right things. So when it comes to what do you think you want to do when you – I know you have your senior operations manager is what your LinkedIn says, but what does you want to truly do? Do you want to travel? You want to go somewhere? You want to go to the office every day?
Yeah, so I think it's a great question, right? So I don't mind traveling, right? I would like to have a job where I travel. And I put the senior operations manager down because I honestly think that's where my experience to date translates best moving over, right? And everyone says, okay, in LinkedIn, you want to basically headline what your next job is, right? So. Yep. But that's just one. In all honesty, I spent 3.5 years within the command running a phase of our selection course. And I love training and development as well. So, I mean, if there's, those are roles that I'm looking at within corporations as well.
So that could be, that could be in the HR realm, which is training and development. Yeah. Those roles exist, and they're looking for people to take charge of those roles and create curriculums, create opportunities in the HR realm. So even counties are looking for veterans to come take their leadership from the military and bring it to a county job. So county jobs, if you search county jobs, they're available. The GS system's always there, USA Jobs. But there's so many other places to look. And training development is a big thing, and people need to be developed.
Yeah. So, and I definitely, and I see the way of the world too, right? And technology definitely interests me. So there's, I think there's in the tech space, whether that's, emerging, whether that's emerging finance programs or whether that's artificial intelligence or machine learning or things. I think what I have learned, and I can say that by talking to a lot of people, is that I am not. So if it comes to an IT job, right? Yeah, I am not your guy. I'm not a coder by any means. But I understand that if a business is out there, they still require people that understand processes and operations to come in and help run the business, right? Mm-hmm. So, but I definitely, really at the end of the day, I've said this to my family is my kids are young, but one day they'll really understand and they'll be proud. I believe they'll be proud of my career in the Marine Corps, but I really want them to be proud of the next thing that I do as well. And whether, and that's probably a company that's providing some type of product or service that honestly just makes people's lives better.
That's great. If you can find that out, let me know, right? I'll join you.
Yeah, absolutely. And meshes with me from a cultural standpoint. So
of course, and that's important, the culture fit. And there's plenty of and don't always the Amazons of the world are great. The big companies are always great to work with, but look at the small companies as well, medium-sized companies. Yeah. They can really benefit from yours or a lot of veterans' experiences because you're bringing so much to the table. Whereas a big company, they've already have all that. So don't discount small or medium-sized companies as you do this job search, because they're out there too, and they have good benefits, and their culture sometimes is some of the best. But let's look at some questions here from the audience. Somebody asked about, do you see the job market for remote opportunities increasing in the future? Yes. It's not going to be all-encompassing, but there will be more remote opportunities. But when you have remote opportunities, trust is going to be the catalyst for those opportunities. Whether the HR team or the CEO trusts you or you trust them, communication can cut through all that right there. So I'd advise anyone that working remote, have a constant dialogue with your leadership. That way they can trust you're doing the right things most of the time, and they'll give you a bunch of leeway. But remote opportunities, yes, there'll be plenty around here. And somebody asked about what industries are should service target. It really depends. There's so many variables. I spent 25 years in the HR field. I did not want to do HR when I got in the military. I didn't want to do it. But I got with my ACP mentor, and he says training and development is HR. People and culture is HR. Diversity and inclusion is HR. I'm like, all right, HR is pretty cool then again. So it's that kind of stuff. So I would recommend everybody get a American Corporate Partner, ACP mentor, when you're 12 months out. Garrett, if you don't have one yet, I recommend getting one of those too. Phenomenal resource. What kind of tips can you share that you've experienced, that maybe your top 3 tips for a transitioning person or a special operations person?
So I would just, I don't know if I've got numbers to them or if I'll even stop at 3, but I would say, so definitely look at the fellowship programs that are out there, the readiness seminars that the services provide is wonderful information. It's just enough information to create 1,000 more questions, right? But find something in your area. There's things online. There's places like Military Talent Partners and Project Transition USA. For SOF, there is the Honor Foundation. The Commit Foundation is out there. Find something that helps you start whittling away at helping position you so you can narrow that focus to the industry or the type of organization that you want to be a part of.
Hey, Garrett, there's a question from the audience. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
These questions are coming in pretty fast right now. So Ian Maddox says, question for Mr. Harrell, what was the hardest part of the initial transition for you? Tough questions.
Yeah, it is a tough question. So the hardest part for the initial, so honestly, I think it was as just where to start, right? And it took me really from knowing that I was going to begin transitioning in October of 2018 to then attending that readiness seminar in January of 19, and then finally getting into the Honor Foundation for me, August of 2019. There were just a lot of questions there. There were lots of like, where do I start? Yeah. And once I hit the Honor Foundation, like I started understanding it, right? Like the path, I could actually see further down the path. So I would say starting something sooner rather than later, by all means, that is, I don't want to say exhaustive by any means, but something that is a little bit more than what your service is going to provide you when it comes time to transition. Find a program, do what you got to do to get into it, and start laying the groundwork for what that path looks like.
Adding on that, the Honor Foundation is great, but mentorship is best. Yes. Reach out to people that are going through it now, have just gone through it, or get with a HireMilitary team. There's teams out there that are just spend their life. We spend our life helping transition folks like you. We're here for you. We can't do all the work. We can't. We can give guidance. A mentor doesn't do all the work. They give you tidbits of information, but you've got to do the work. That's what it comes down to. So DoD Skill Bridge, make sure that your command team knows about DoD Skill Bridge, and they know your intentions, because when you're 12 months from separation, make sure that you have the conversation with your commands. That way, 6 months before your separation, you can get into a DoD Skill Bridge opportunity. And that's huge. Go ahead.
Yeah, if I could caveat on that real fast, Matt. So absolutely. So I looked at Skill Bridge. I'm actually doing decided to go the fellowship route through the Soft Care Coalition. But absolutely, I once I realized that I was going to transition from that August of 2019, I looked back and I backed plan, understanding that 6 months I would do Skill Bridge or the Care Coalition Fellowship. I knew that I was going to do Onward to Opportunity. So those are things that, they're there. You've got, you got to tap into it, take advantage of it.
So I'm looking at your profile right now, Garrett, and it says right now you're you work part-time for Elite Meet as director of recruiting. Tell us about Elite Meet.
Yep. So Elite Meet is it's a nonprofit networking community. It was established back in 2017 by Jordan Selleck and John Allen. And John was a SEAL that was transitioning and basically had a lot of questions like all of us do, but he wanted to get into the private sector specifically. And Jordan, was a guy that he had linked up with and basically was like, if you need help, I know others need help. So Elite Meet, a networking community, the target audience that we shoot for are soft selected individuals, our winged fighter pilots. We also take other types of, we also take other service members. We have an applicant committee that reviews applications and makes the, determination if someone comes in. But basically it's also individuals that are looking to move into the private sector and industries such as tech, finance, even entrepreneurship, those kinds of roles. And so going back to those establishing that brand, Elite Meet is a fantastic community if you have a personal brand established, and that there's nothing more important than getting that thing, whether it's through whatever transition fellowship that you go through to help you build that. And they all kind of follow the same format for the most part, and it's all trial and error and proven and tested. So but Elite Meet is a great thing if you're under the SOCOM umbrella as well. Specifically soft selected or even a fighter pilot out there, look into Elite Meet. It's a great networking community, and we put you in touch with our hiring partners that are in those industries that you're looking to transition to. Okay.
Hey, we're coming on 42 minutes now, and people are got a lot of questions here, but I'm going to leave with you the last word for you. What is it that you want to tell the audience or tell an employer about yourself that can maybe get you a job one day? You're still under this visual right now, but we're going to fix that next time we come on live. But what is it you can say to somebody to help them out transition, or to an employer?
So I would say to an employer, and I think this will help out others that are transitioning, is just understand that you're value added, right? Like, I know that I bring things to the table. I think the ability to learn quickly, which is something that I do. Yeah. I'm a lifelong learner. If you look at my education on my LinkedIn page, you'll see that I can't get enough of it sometimes. But absolutely, being able to learn quickly, that's something I pride myself in. I know that I can bring value added. I know that service members out there are the same way. I know they bring value added. I would say to service members, don't limit yourself. Take advantage of everything you can do. Just like the onward to opportunity stuff, do the research, look at it, back plan, and don't try to rush transition, right? Like, if you can push it, you can push it out at least 12 months. I would even say longer, right? But if you can push it out that far, like, just back plan, know that you want to fit these things in, like skill bridge, getting mentorship early in the industry that you're excited about. Start learning about industries. I can't speak enough about the importance of informational interviews. I still do several a week, as well as mentorship. I have an ACP mentor as well, and I'm also people within my community within Elite Meet I contact on a regular basis to get mentorship from them as well. But to employers, don't limit yourself. And
this, it's a community right here. So we're all here to help out. So don't ever think your transition, you have to do it alone. Reach out to HireMilitary, to a mentor, people on LinkedIn. Use the people search on LinkedIn to find a common background, whether it's a service member, a Marine, Air Force, whatever it is. Find a person on there or people and reach out to them. They won't all reply, I get that, but some will, and we'll do these LinkedIn Lives every day at 2:00, except maybe for Thursdays, because Chris Thorne wants to do his employers, which is phenomenal. So I will share the airtime with Chris, no big deal. Give me a little break too. But Garret, so hey, I want to thank you for coming on. Do you have any last words you want to share?
I appreciate your time, Matt. And I would just say, if anybody out there has questions that didn't get asked here and they're for me specifically, just connect with me on LinkedIn, send them, and I promise I'll get to them and answer them.
It looks like you have a few questions on here that only you can answer, and you have a small little fan club, it looks like. So you got to get to your fan club today, Garret. So
fan club of one, right?
Yeah. So hey, you got plenty on here. So hey, go to the HireMilitary site and definitely get on there and answer some questions. But for those that want to come on, the schedule is out there for the next 2 weeks, and we lock it for 2 weeks, and then I'll open up every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday is for transition members and veterans. Wednesdays is for military spouses. Looks like Thursdays could be for employers. So tune in, HireMilitary every day at 2 p.m. thereabouts, and we'll work on our technical difficulties. That happens. But hey, Garret, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming on today. And you may be the role model for a transitioning special operating guy, or girl. So you may be the face now.
Well, I've definitely learned a lot. I know that I don't know everything though. But I'm willing to help to pass my lessons learned.
Good deal. Hey, Garret, thank you very much for joining us today. And hey, we'll see you again tomorrow about 2 o'clock.
Hey, thanks.
Take care, everybody. Thanks.
Appreciate it.